Inside the NBA on TNT is hanging in the balance and what that means for the future of sports television. Is Caitlin Clark now receiving unnecessary hate? LeBron James shares his 2 cents, and it's been a big week for NIL. We break all of that down on this week's episode of The Fumble.
Samaria, where you coming from? Fitness class? What's going on over there? You got the little tank top? You been hitting your tie bow? What's happening?
Okay, first of all, it's hot. Is it hot in LA?
No, it's cloudy and cold. I don't know what's been going on. We have lost the luxury of good weather in LA. It is miserable out here.
So you living in Seattle for real?
It's London. It's like London. Portland. It's wicked out here, man. But regardless, the shoulders, the traps, all of that look good per usual.
Thank you.
But it's time for us to get into some sports business. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, so Caitlin Clark fans believe the WNBA is doing everything in its power to jeopardize her rookie season. Fans are not appreciating the criticism or bad calls they say Clark has received in her first couple of games in the WNBA. LeBron James had this to say on JJ Redick's podcast, quote, "Don't get it twisted. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things are going to happen in the WNBA. I'm rooting for Caitlin." So Rodney, is Caitlin receiving too much hate, or is she simply not as dominant as she was in college?
I think two things can be true here. There is a really interesting perspective that people have taken in recent days about Caitlin Clark. I saw someone say that she is benefiting from pretty privilege, and with all due respect, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, and the reason why I'm a fan is because of her game. I never have reduced her to her physical aesthetic, and that actually came from a woman. I saw earlier today that Jamel Hill said that she's benefiting from her whiteness and her sexual orientation, which can be true, but she's moving the needle because essentially she is like Steph Curry. She looks like any and every ordinary human being on earth. She's not some gargantuan physical specimen, right? But she's doing these immaculate things on a basketball court, and so that makes her feel way more relatable than maybe some other players who have come through the WNBA or collegiate basketball. But let's not also forget she is the all-time leading scorer, men or women, in NCAA basketball history. So I wish we give more credence to her game and not these outside influences.
Yeah, and I mean, like you just said, that is correct. There's no denying the impact that she has on the game of basketball. But I do feel like the ordinary people that she's brought, the viewers that she's brought into the WNBA, are not realizing that she's playing up against the best of the best. Nobody, I don't feel like anyone in the WNBA is doing anything to jeopardize her rookie season. I think that is so crazy. I know that it was just it went viral when they were playing New York, that she was outside and she was signing autographs, and so she was a little late to her press conference, and people are saying that now her teammates are jealous of her because they thanked her for showing up to the press conference a few minutes late. And I just really hate that narrative that people are trying to jeopardize her, because I just don't see it. I just feel like y'all need to understand that there are also leading scorers that are now in the WNBA. There are also #1 draft picks that are now in the WNBA, women that have went on to win national championships when they were in college. She's playing up against these ladies every single day. So yeah, she may not be as dominant, but I don't think anyone is jeopardizing her rookie season.
I'm gonna push back on that. There's two people who are for sure jeopardizing her rookie season. Her coach, Christy Sides, is terrible. Oh my God.
Okay, well, blame the coach.
I do not understand her rotations. Last night they had a game. It was a tie ball game with 5 minutes left. She takes Caitlin Clark out the game, puts her back in when the Fever are now down 7. And also, Aaliyah Boston, have you forgotten how to play basketball? Like, she has been, somebody absorbed her basketball skills she has been terrible all season long. Like, I don't know what's going on. Caitlin Clark is just seeing double teams, and Aaliyah Boston is missing wide open game-tying layups. It has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. I'm blaming right now both Christy and Aaliyah. But again, anybody out there who is reducing Caitlin to anything other than her basketball skills, her sheer greatness on the basketball court, I don't think that you should be talking about sports if you don't recognize the greatness that she displayed in college, which will inevitably translate to the WNBA, because she's averaging like 17, 5, and 5, which is a phenomenal rookie season.
Yes, she's just playing with a team that is not doing the best at this time. But even
They
Shaq
trash.
had to say that it would take her and Angel Reese a little time to adjust, and people thought that she was hating on Reese and Clark. So I think that obviously there's going to be a transition anytime a person goes from the collegiate level to the professional level, and that's
Factual.
what we're witnessing right now.
Yeah, and it was a 3-week turnaround. Let us know your thoughts. Do you feel like Caitlin Clark is receiving unnecessary hate and criticism, or some of the voices out there that have negative things to say about her justified? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. All right, so the NCAA Board of Governors agreed on Wednesday to accept the terms of an antitrust settlement lawsuit totaling about $2.8 billion that will compensate former collegiate athletes who were unable to benefit from their name, image, and likeness. Now, when things become final, this sets the stage for the NCAA to no longer operate in a system of amateurism, but to actually begin a new day in which they share revenue with athletes. So, Samaria, my question for you is, what are your thoughts on college athletes no longer being considered amateurs?
You know what? I do like it because I do feel like, unfortunately, there was this uneven balance. You had some players that are racking in millions of dollars and then some players that aren't. So if you can kind of have like just a base level of pay that each athlete will receive, I think it'll kind of cut down on maybe some unnecessary drama that could possibly arise. I do feel like when the NCAA was forced to pay athletes or allow them to receive payment from boosters or whoever, they did so in a way they weren't organized. Let me just say that. Like it just kind of sprung on them. The Supreme Court ruled that you have to allow athletes to be compensated for their name, image, and likeness, and the NCAA was not prepared for that. So it just seems like there's just been like a lot of different, like you have this that they just voted on, and then you have lawsuits. So now we have players actually suing universities for not getting NIL. I was going to bring up Jaden Rashada, former University of Florida quarterback. He is now suing the university for $13 million because he says that when he signed his national letter of intent, he was supposed to get $1 million wired to him by Billy Napier. And when he didn't get that, he asked for them to rescind that offer. And so now he was at Arizona State. Now he's at the University of Georgia, which of course, Georgia and Florida are big rivals. But he's suing the university because he said he didn't get that money. So I just feel like there's just like, it's just going to be president after president after president because they didn't have the things in line. They didn't have everything lined up when they were forced to allow NIL.
You know, I can't imagine being a college student with $13 million. If I had $1,300, it was Showtime back in my day. Everybody was going to get a shot at the club. You feel what I'm saying? This does have a lot of ramifications for across the NCAA, right? So what this will do, though, is this will reduce the number of scholarships for the football programs, right? Which will be reduced from about 120 to 100. But it will impact and affect other smaller sports such as baseball. Now, baseball traditionally has about 40 players on their roster that have to spread 11.7, which is a weird number, but 11.7 scholarships over 40 players. So they're all receiving partial scholarships. Once this anti-lawsuit is fully settled, this will allow them to fully scholarship all the athletes in these sports. But you did bring up an interesting point. I would like to see, like, how are the athletes who are lesser known, who are playing smaller sports, the volleyball athletes, the swimmers, like, how will this impact and affect them? Because all things ain't equal. If you're in a Power 5 football conference, you would expect that the starting quarterback at Auburn to make a lot more money than the volleyball player at Tuskegee. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to seeing how this money is dispersed and who all truly will benefit from it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like, though, the NCAA has got to take a step back and really think about NIL because, listen, like, y'all are just it just seems like they're just making decisions on a whim because they're being forced to do it. And then we're having issues. Things are just, I don't feel like are thought out.
Well, hey, if in the interim that means that college students are getting paid, I'm all for it. We've had far too many years go by where these students have been taken advantage of completely. So if this is a bubble, if this is a window in which these kids get to cash out, take it. Get as much as you possibly can because once you enter that workforce, you know, sometimes you don't get a chance to make as much money as you are currently in college. So, which is why I was shocked that like Caitlin Clark left, but it is what it is.
I was going to ask you if you felt like we're going to see more lawsuits like the Rashada case where players feel like they're owed
No. So the thing is that this will limit lawsuits from being filed over the next 10 years. So there will be no collegiate athlete who is able to file a lawsuit against the NCAA for a minimum of 10 years, because, like I said in the opening, these funds are going to be dispersed to players who were not able to benefit from NIL, which takes care of former athletes. And this money will be dispersed over the course of 6 years.
Right, but I'm saying that the Rashada case is kind of separate from that. He felt like he was owed money because that was what he signed, or they told him over the phone, if you sign with the University of Florida, we're going to give you $1 million. And when they didn't wire the money, now he's saying, okay, now you kind of messed up my career because I had to go somewhere else and transfer again. So now you got to give me $13 million.
Well,
that's what I was like, it just, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
crazy.
individual case, that's just like, you owe me money. I'm not suing you for the infrastructure. I'm suing you because you have failed to pay, which I think is an
Yes.
entirely different conversation than the one surrounding NIL. It's just Florida being cheap. But if your head coach is wiring you $1 million, I mean, I think I got a couple years of eligibility left. You feel me? This right knee is getting stronger every day. You feel me, Samaria?
Please let us know what you all think. Do you think that things will get better with NIL, especially with the new lawsuit that they just settled? All right, Rodney, this is a tough one. Inside the NBA on TNT might be no more after this season. So the NBA is strongly considering ending its partnership with TNT and pairing up with NBC. And as of right now, NBC's coverage plan does not feature the legendary show that has been hosted by Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson for the last 13 years. Inside the NBA has been on the air since 1989. How big of an impact will the end of this show have on sports television, Rodney?
I don't know how much of an impact it'll have on sports television entirely. I know for the basketball community, we will be devastated. There have been so many nights when a regular season NBA game has been terrible to watch. It's been a literal, just so boring because there's blowouts. The star players aren't playing. And so the relief in that was that we always had Chuck, Ernie, Shaq, and Kenny to kind of let us have some good times and enjoy some aspect and element of the sport, even if the game itself was trash. I don't understand why NBC wouldn't do everything in their power to get these gentlemen over to the network. They are a proven recipe and formula for success and entertainment. And if you have the ability to bring them over, I think Ernie is the only one that might have a little bit of a hard time getting out of his contract with TNT because he's a lifer at that network. I don't understand why you even hesitate at all, even if you have to double or triple their salary.
I wholeheartedly agree. I don't know who was in the room that said, okay, we got to get these 4 men on TV, but it's been magic for 13 years. And my favorite moments, of course, is Kenny running up to the screen and his bad knees. But yeah, I agree. NBC has to do something to get, it's not just NBC. They also are on Amazon Prime. And then of course Disney has the deal too. So I'm like, somebody has to figure out a way to get these 4 guys on a show. Even I could see them doing like an Amazon Prime. Listen, I'll tune in.
Yeah, nah, for sure. I just, whatever NBC does, man, I hope they just don't take the same approach as they do with football. It's so boring. They're so buttoned up. It's so corny. The basketball fan base is entirely different than the NFL fan base. Please do not be rigid. Have these people in these shoulder padded suits. I don't want to see that. I want energy. I want enthusiasm. I want entertainment. I want profanity. I don't want none of that clean cut nonsense that NBC is known for. Give me the true essence of what basketball is. That's people on the court talking crazy, having a good time, laughing, joking, maybe having a little bit of aggression. I don't want none of that NBC quarterback stiff as a board as television. I don't want that with my basketball, man.
I will say though, shout out to Maria Taylor because she's with NBC, so she can come back to the NBA, and I have truly missed her on ESPN. So maybe she'll get to have a show or do something in that realm. But again, they have to do something to get those 4 guys, or they can even create their own show or something.
Yeah, Charles said he might hire the gentleman for under his production company and sell the rights of a new formatted show. So there's a couple of ways for them to stay together. If anything, NBC, please bring back Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson as a part of the broadcast. We need talent. I think ESPN has been so stale in their NBA coverage this year. I love Doris Burke. Doris Burke is amazing, but when you flank her with JJ Redick and Kevin Harlan, it feels dry. dry. You know, watching the game on TNT has been enjoyable because of the talents and personalities that they've had, of course, which are highlighted by Charles, Ernie, Shaq, and Kenny. So hopefully NBC gets the formula right as well as Amazon. All right, so fumble of the week, Samaria, goes to Tyrese Halliburton for quite literally fumbling away game 1 against the Celtics. Now, be very clear, all right? I am a Hally fan, but we got to call a spade a spade. Now, he is newly minted as third-team All-NBA, which means he is now eligible for a Supermax contract, and he was selected onto Team USA over names like Jalen Brunson, Kyrie Irving, and De'Aaron Fox. And clearly, he is a face and voice that the NBA has put some stock into and wants to see succeed. But that comes with additional pressure and a mandate that you lead, my brother. So that means you cannot be dribbling the ball off of your foot out of bounds in clutch moments. And as a point guard, you have to be especially vocal and call out things that sometimes maybe your coach himself is not seeing. For instance, hey, coach, there's 11 seconds left and we're up by 3. Maybe, bruh, we should foul so they can't get a shot off like Jaylen Brown did in the corner to put the game in overtime. That's just what I'm saying, man. This is the penalty of leadership, Tyrese. Now, I'm certain you'll gain perspective and understanding from this playoff run because the Pacers have a legitimate shot at competing in a real way this series against the Boston Celtics, but not if Halliburton doesn't lead them there. So Tyrese Halliburton this week, my brother, you get the fumble of the week, but only because I want so badly to see you succeed. What are your thoughts, Samaria?
Yeah, no, I agree because watching that game, you can clearly see that Indiana was the better team. I mean, but you cannot let the Celtics get a win like that. You had the game, like you just said, like that Jaylen Brown corner 3. He from Atlanta too. Shout out to him. I was rooting for the Pacers, and I like the Celtics, but I was really rooting for them because I feel like they're kind of the underdog. They haven't been in these big moments in a long time. And so I always say that comes down to it. It's the teams that have experience in these big moments. You let it slip away. You cannot do that against the Boston Celtics. It's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah, I hate all things Boston, and so I will never, ever celebrate, support, cheer on any team from Boston. I love Jaylen Brown. I love Jason Tatum. I love Derek White. But I need to see the Celtics lose because I do not like the city of Boston. I do not like their fan base. And so Tyrese Halliburton, you really had a chance to close the show, and you dribbled the ball off your foot. I could not understand the last about minute and a half, 2 minutes of that game. It just pissed me off. And I feel like if you're the Pacers, you got to be kicking yourself because you're down 0-1, and this is going to be a tough series, right? It's going to be a tough series either way it goes. You're getting the Celtics are getting Porzingis back, and so that's another piece of the puzzle that they're going to have added in a couple of games. Like you can't be wasting these opportunities, bro. You can't do it, Tyrese. You're too good. You're too great. And as third team All NBA now, that means that you are one of the top 15 players in the league. You got to perform like it, my brother.
Well, what are you thinking about the Western Conference?
Man, it is a win-win for me. The New Jersey Timberwolves, because they got hella people from Jersey. I don't know how they lost that game to the Mavs, their game 1. I felt like Kyrie Irving really took to heart and Edwards saying that he was going to guard him, and he came out in real attack mode, which he did not do in the last series. So I'm excited about just the energy that this series has because the Eastern Conference has been pretty dull, pretty dry, you know what I mean? And so having all this talent, because there's so much more talent in the Western Conference, the talent of this series alone is enticing. I can't look away.
And Rudy Gobert has kind of stepped up.
Rudy Gobert's ass. He's just gonna say he ass, bro. I don't care what nobody say. That's just how I feel. I don't care. Like I want to see Naz Reid out there. He had a shot attempt yesterday where somebody threw him a lob, and instead of like dunking the ball, he like tried to like volleyball tap it. And I was like, he's a bum. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. It's too expensive. I don't like it. Sorry.
Okay, well, y'all please let us know what you all are thinking of the NBA playoffs right now, and who do you feel like will make it to the finals? All right, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Fumble. Make sure to subscribe to The Fumble and at The Fumble Sports on all of our social media platforms. Of course, we deliver the latest in sports every day on our YouTube page with Jackie Ray, and each and every Friday right here at The Fumble with myself, Samaria Terry, and Rodney Rakai.